Today on Home Theater Fanatics, we're going to take a look at the Zappiti line of media players, and specifically the Zappiti Pro 4K HDR Audiocom Cinema Edition. That's right, the big dog. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, today we're going to take a look at Zappiti and media players, and we're going to look at some of the features and functionality that might help you decide if this is the right kind of equipment for you. Is this something that you want to put into your media room or your home theater? I think to get started, probably the one question that we really need to answer for people is, what exactly does a Zappiti do? Because there are a lot of products out there. There's Zappitis, and there's Zadoos, and there's Shields, and there are Apple TVs, and I mean, there's a ton of stuff, and they're all a little bit different, but you can kind of lump them into some buckets. And you know, if I think about things kind of in four buckets, you've got disc players, you've got file players, which this one is, you've got streamers, and then you've got other, which includes things like Kaleidoscape, which is a downloadable file player that doesn't stream. So anyway, but this is very specifically a media player and a media server. And what that means is that you have files and you get those files somehow. Most people will rip those from Blu-ray or DVD or whatever they might have, 4K, and then it goes into the server part of the device, which is hard drives with a computer behind it to allow a player to play the video. And in this case, in most of their equipment, this box can be the player and the server. Now, what it does not do, and I think a lot of people will confuse this with other products out there, is stream well. If you want a full service streaming device, Zappiti is not the product for you. And I think it's important to get that out on the table to start with. You know, if you're looking for a streamer, likely you're going to look more toward the Shield, you're going to look at the Apple TV, you might look at a Fire Stick. Those all stream better than a Zappiti does. But if you want to play back files, so if you've got a big collection of 4K Blu-rays and you want to rip these, turn these into files, and then play them back, Zappiti is going to be on your very short list of top products to check out to serve that particular purpose. Now that you know what a Zappiti does, now that you know what this brand is about, let's look a little bit at the product portfolio so you can kind of see the price points and the differences in the models. And there are several different models out there that you can choose from to fit not only your style, right, because some look better than others, but also your pocketbook, and then how much storage you want them to have access to. So there's a pretty wide variance there. So let's hop in, and I'm going to jump over to their webpage and we can step through that now. Here we are at the Zappiti website, and it's pretty snazzy. You can see the UI going off on the background here too. I really like that. If you scroll down to just a little bit, you'll get to our products. And if you click on more info, you can see the three form factors that the players come in, and then also the NAS that they have available as well. You know, like I said, the NAS is out of scope for this video, but this thing is really cool because it'll auto rip. It's super exciting, and it pairs really well with the Zappiti Mini if you want to build a kind of a distributed platform and not have any storage in your units themselves. So to dig in a little bit deeper, the Pro comes in the Pro and an Audiocom Cinema Edition, and the Ace Edition is a Pro that they've added a number of upgrades to. So I believe they ship these units to a company called Audiocom, and they go modify them, you know, add in a special clock and other items that we'll get to and talk about in a bit. But you know, they look identical on the outside except for a nice label on the front of the Ace Edition. The One platform comes in the One and the One Special Edition, and the Special Edition is just the niceified version of the One, so it's got gold-plated connectors and that kind of stuff, but functionality is pretty much the same between the two. And then finally, you got the Zappiti Mini, and it's a very, very small platform for kind of hiding behind televisions and that kind of stuff. I would say that the biggest difference physically of all of these is that, you know, the Pro 4K and the Cinema Edition are normal component width, and you could also get a rack mount ear kit for these. So, you know, I don't have the rack mount kit yet for mine, but I want to get that so I can rack mount this in my theater cabinet. The One and the Mini are probably something that you would see more in a media room. They're smaller. The Pro holds 2 hard drives, so this flips down on the front, and there are 2 hard drive bays on the front. The one has a hard drive bay on the side, and then the Mini does not have a hard drive bay at all. So if we click into this unit, we can get down to a comparison chart that shows all of those differences. Obviously, under the Pro 4K, you're going to see a lot more yeses compared to the others. But I think the take-home message here is that, in general, all of the features and functions are shared across all your models. So even if you buy a Mini, you're not really missing out on too much compared to the Pro 4K as far as the core components go. What you want to look at is the number of hard drives you want to be able to put into the unit, the form factor, how many USB ports and that kind of stuff you want. And that can help drive you to which one of these units you want or not. Also, price is a big deal because they are quite variable in price. So if we go over to where to buy, and you can get these at Amazon if you want. You can also go to the Zappiti store, which is what I'll do now. It's a little bit easier to see the pricing there, and we'll take a look. Now, they just have started selling the Rivian Blu-ray players in the United States. I don't know if they distribute all across the world, but these are available now, and I really want to get my hands on this UBR X200 and check that out. It looks pretty sweet. I'm hoping that it's fairly similar to the Oppo, but we'll find out. We'll check that out. But as far as the pricing goes, the Pro Ace is $2,000, the Pro is $1,000, the One is $299, and the Mini is $249. And just some general thoughts there. Unless you need the really, really small form factor, I would probably spring for the $50 and go up to the One, so you can put a hard drive in it if you want to. The Pro and the Pro Ace each hold 2 hard drives. And if you want to go nuts with things, and I suggest that you do, check out this NAS. It's $3,500. I don't believe that comes with hard drives though. But this is super cool. All of these boxes can be pointed toward external storage. The One and the Pros can have internal storage, and then I believe all of them can have USB attached storage as well, which is super cool. But that kind of gives you a rundown on the different models and pricing. And with that, let's go ahead and jump over and take a look at the UI, which is again shared amongst all the different models. Once you've got your Zappiti installed and you boot up and you go through the setup process, which I'm not going to show here, when you come back to your machine, this is where the unit will boot to. And this is your UI where you can see all of your content. If you pop down and go into movies, you can get into the menu that I think everybody is most interested in, right? And so this is, showing all your movies. And it's really, really cool. And this is configurable. You can show more or less than what you have, what I have here. And I just have this set a little bit bigger because I like the bigger album art. But the tool will look at your content, at your files, classify those, pull down all the metadata, and then show them to you like this. Now, in the event that it can't find something or doesn't understand things, you'll get something like this. So you got the candidate, but it doesn't know what album art to put up. And you can go through and adjust all of those things yourself to add whatever art you want. If you don't like the art that's there, you can go in and change that as well. The player will do this for both movies and television. So let's see. Now I hit the home button, and that takes me to the very top menu where you can see your big apps. The app that we're using is the video app. So let me pop back in here and click the back button. And then you can go over to television shows, and it will show you the same kind of setup, but for all of your different TV shows that you have. And like I said before, you can change your art for these, and it automatically grabs these and classifies these and sorts all this stuff out. Now, in the event that it is unable to figure out what a particular episode belongs to, there is a way you can go in and manually set all that stuff up. But for the most part, it's found everything that I wanted it to find. So all the stuff that I threw up there, it was able to identify. And some of these are my favorite shows. Whose Line Is It Anyway? I really love. Ted Lasso is really good. Anyway, a bunch of good stuff in here. And another thing that's interesting is that this player, not only will it play your standard MKV file, but also it will play actual rips of discs into the Blu-ray container so that you can actually get the menus, the Blu-ray menus, and not just the file, which is fairly advanced technology and functionality. A couple other things to think about is they have the concept of sagas, and a saga is it's kind of like a collection. So you could take all your Marvel movies and put into a Marvel saga, and then you can go into your saga and view that. I don't know that I have any setup here. Let me see. Marvel saga. I don't know that I have a lot of Marvel movies. So there's only have Ant-Man here for that saga. Let's take another saga. Mad Max collection. Let's see. What do I have in the Mad Max saga? So Mad Max, and then 2 copies of Mad Max Fury Road. Anything else of interest? For the most part, when you're using your player, these are the 2 areas that you're going to be in. You're going to be in movies and TV shows. But like I was saying, they classify all of these things in lots of different areas. So you can look at categories if you want to, and you can have things sliced and diced into drama, family, fantasy, history. And what also is cool is you can change all these icons, and there are different icon sets that you can use, and you can just pick the ones that you like. Let's see, if I go into fantasy, what happens here? What do I get to see here? Always, Aquaman, Avatar, Bad Batch, Blade, Ghostbusters. And the output on this is just absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. A few other things in the UI that I want to show you. If we hit the home button on the remote, that takes us to the very top level. And, the 3 big apps that you have are Music, Explorer, and Video. So Video is where we were, and that's the nice graphical GUI UI to be able to find your movies and click play. Explorer is a tool that you use to explore your network so you can configure sources for your content, right? So if you use a NAS, that kind of thing, or a share off a computer, you can find all those. So, we have the local drive, and I have one hard drive installed inside of this Pro Ace, but most of my content comes from my QNAP, and this guy is where I have the vast majority of all my media stored. But you can see it finds everything out there. I've got an NVIDIA Shield and a few desktops, and this is a OLMAD VR computer that I had set up. So it goes through your network, and anything that's shared out there, you can add as a location, and it will index all that stuff and bring it back into your system, pull down all the art, and then you can watch it. For music, it is much the same as the video player. I have not configured this at all. I stream 99.9% of all my music. So for me, this really isn't terribly useful. But if you have a large media collection for music and you don't have another player, something like Roon, maybe this would be something that you would want to use. Now we're going to pop back up to this top menu. So we've looked at Music, Explorer, and Video. There are 2 other settings, or 2 other areas that I think are interesting. So the My Apps, this is these are all the apps that you have installed on the box. But if you look, you see Google Play here, and you can go into Google Play and add additional apps on this box. So, you can add some streaming apps and stuff like that if you want to. Now, as I said before, if you want to stream, I think there are better devices. But, if you do have some type of need, or there's some special app that you want installed and it's available at Google Play, you can give that a shot and see if it will function on this unit. For me, I've stayed pretty much inside the rails and used this to watch movies and television. And the last area that I want to look at in the UI is settings. And there is a lot that goes on in here. This box is very, very configurable, and can do a lot of stuff on the video side of the house, and on the audio side of the house. So, I recommend that, once you've got your unit, go in here and you can start playing around with this stuff. I'm not trying to make this a full tutorial on all of the configuration of this unit. This is kind of high level, but there is so much that you can configure in here that it boggles the mind. And one that I really like is this HDR to SDR switch. This is super useful if you are working in a projection environment, or if you're using something like a HD Fury and you need that input to be SDR. This will hook you up from that point of view. If you're using a television that does support all your HDR flavors, then maybe not so useful. But this is a very, very flexible unit and can be used in a lot of different scenarios. Now let's take a look at the setup of the Pro Ace. On the back, it's really straightforward. Basically, the items that you need to take care of are adding on the 2 Wi-Fi antenna, and you'll screw the one in on the left, and then you'll screw the one in on the right. There's an HDMI cable that you need to plug in, and that'll be the one that runs to your processor. And then if you have wired Ethernet, you'll want to plug that in as well. And then the last item is simply power. The front of the unit is very straightforward. If you open the front hatch, you'll reveal the 2 ports for internal hard drives. It's very easy to add those hard drives. You just open up the locking mechanism, slide out that slider, install the drive, and then push it back into place, and the hard drive is installed. Also across the front on the left-hand side, you'll find the power button, a USB plug there at the bottom. You'll move past the door that hides the hard drive trays, and then on the far right-hand side, you will find a headphone jack and another USB port. On the rear of the box, things get interesting. You first have power, but then as you move to the right, you get to a 0 signal port. This is actually an RCA port that you connect to your processor to eliminate ground loops. It's pretty cool. You have a number of USB ports, LAN, IR, then you have HDMI in, which you can actually use to record video with an app on the box if you want, audio out for HDMI, video out for HDMI, digital optical out, right and left RCA out, coax out, and then an old style RCA video output. I haven't seen one of those in a while. As we take a peek inside the unit, let's talk a little bit about the upgrades that Audiocom does to this unit. And most of it's really all around trying to eliminate noise. So they upgrade the power supply, they upgrade a number of capacitors, and also add new power supply filtering. And that's really all to eliminate noise from the system. They also add a new femto clock that's super accurate. So it's accurate to within 0.01 ppm with an extremely low jitter figure of 77 femtoseconds. And the final modification is the addition of a material that helps eliminate EMI noise from the system. And that is the Zappiti line of media players. Yeah, I know that was a lot of information to take in, but hopefully it's helpful in helping you decide if this is the right product for you. Now, a few more items that I want to call out that I think are important. One, and I think this is probably the biggest one for all of these devices, is the lack of support for Dolby Vision. For some people, it's not a big deal. For other people, they really have to have it. So you'll need to weigh that as whether that's a requirement for you or not. Now, this does support HDR10, and for me, that's pretty much all I need because all I use are projectors. I have a couple of televisions, but I don't have a Zappiti on any of those. But if you need HDR10 Plus or you need Dolby Vision, then think long and hard because this doesn't support it with this particular chipset. On the flip side, the image that comes out of this is absolutely stunning. The 4K upscaling is great. The video processing is top notch. It looks really, really good. So, you have to weigh what you like and what you don't like. For me, I've got this in my cabinet in my theater and I use it just about on a weekly basis. I love this thing. It's really, really cool. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, ring the bell, do all that normal stuff, but subscribe. It's super important. I'm trying to hit that 20K mark and I'm getting really close and it's really super, super exciting. I'd also like to see some comments down below and understand if you guys have one of these, if you bought one, why you picked it up, or if you didn't, why you didn't, and maybe you've never heard of them before and this is something new. I'd like to hear that too, if this is kind of a new product for you. But I think this is really something that you want to look at. And I did a video a little while ago showing the 4 must-have video sources in your environment, and this is one of those. And I think that anybody who's building kind of a high-end home theater or media room will want to have a device like this specifically to watch files on, because I do believe that this kicks the butt of the NVIDIA Shield running Plex. Plex is great. I have it, used it for a long time, but I absolutely like the way this deals with files more than the way Plex does. All right, with that, again, like and subscribe, ring the bell, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.